So I know you watched the last video and you've got your centering under control. Now we're going to deal with opening and lifting the clay. So to start off, we're going to start with the wheel full speed, hands wet, clay wet. I'm going to push a hole in and I'm just going to push straight down. You stop before you hit the bottom because that's the bottom of your pot, and you're just using the sides to stabilize. So now I've got my hole, I'm going to pull out and I'm going to start making a hole. So what I did there is I had my hands at the bottom, and then what I did is I pulled them apart and while holding the outside of the clay, so that stops it from getting bigger. So now we've got an open pot, but it's still quite thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to support the outside, and I'm actually going to squeeze the inside up. And as I do, the pot walls thin, and now I'm going to slow it down to mid-speed. And so all I'm doing is keeping my thumb still, and I'm going to squeeze down. That just thins it out a bit and just makes it a bit easier to manage for the next step. Now that we've got it open, now we're going to thin the clay and lift it up. So we're going to be going fairly slow for this here. This hand on the inside is just going to support, and basically it's not going to move. So when this hand squeezes in, that hand's just going to resist it and it's going to move up. So what you want to do is get your fingers together. I normally put like this for stability. And so we're going to squeeze here. You'll see a little ridge start there, and then I'm going to lift that and I'm going to squeeze up and slowly move up. Okay, then I'm going to do that again. Notice how I'm going slowly. When you get towards the top, you just taper off. Now it's a bit dry, so I'm going to add a bit more water. So again, squeezing from the outside and just holding in the end. And then as I get to the top, I just slowly get it under control. Now the reason I'm going so slowly is if you lift your hands too quick, you end up with a spiral, and then you're going to have thick bits and thin bits. So to get a nice smooth pot, what I'm going to do is for each turn of the pot, I'm going to lift my hand up half the contact so that I get an overlap and a nice smooth pot. So from physics, you'll remember if you've got two equal forces, they balance each other out. And if one force pushes more than the other, you get a movement. Now we just want to extend that a bit to the clay. So what you want to do is you want to squeeze from both sides to thin the clay out. If you push only from one side, then the clay moves and it doesn't thin out. And what you want to do is squeeze it thin so that it gives a chance to go up. I want to show you how the forces on the clay are working. So I'm just going to cut this in half so we can have a look. So I've stopped this pot in the middle, and you can see there's a bit of a ridge here. So what my fingers were doing is the fingers on the inside were flat, the bottom ones were at a point, and they're squeezing up towards my inside fingers. And as I squeeze and lift, then the clay gets thinner, and I slowly take that wave all the way to the top. So even when you've been throwing for a while, you'll still get this happening. So I've lifted the clay up. There's a bit more clay on one side than the other, and it's given us this wonky rim. So now I just want to make sure it's wet. Squeezing my fingers out of the side. I'm going to put the needle on my thumb, and I'm going to push it all the way through. And when I touch my finger on the inside, lift it off and throw it away. So again, you want to wet it, make sure it's slipping nicely. Fingers squeezing it. This finger comes in on the edges, just round it off and gets the pot nice and round again, a nice controlled lip. So this is a good point to talk about stability. So as you can see, the clay is going round. If I bring the needle over here, there it slips, there I put the point in, it just makes a line. But if you bring it from the other side, if you keep your fingers like that, it's stable, but if you get the point in, then it digs in and you get a hole in your pot. So basically you point your fingers in the direction the pot's going so they slip past nicely. It's best to deal with problems as they arise. The thinner the pot gets, the more along you get, the harder it is. So if you've opened up and you've got the clay a little bit off center like that, if you're going to open it up and lift it now, you're going to have thick and thin parts and you're going to battle. So I'm just going to show you how I would get that back under control. So keep your hands wet, keep the side of the pot wet, putting my hands there, putting my thumbs in, and I'm squeezing in from the outside and then squeezing my thumbs out, and I'll just get it back under control. You never get it back perfectly, but you get it a lot better than you had it before. So then when you go on to the next step, it's a little bit easier. A problem I often see with beginners is when they're starting out, they squeeze the clay too thin at the bottom when they're getting the feel for it. What that causes, you've got a little piece of clay supporting the piece at the top, and so when you come put your forces on to twist and lift it up, that can't take it and it starts to buckle and wobble and cause you problems. Don't be too hard on yourself when starting out. When you're looking at a bowl like this and it's looking all web-sided and it's clay starting to get soft, just remember that if you actually stop the wheel, it suddenly looks a lot better than when it's going off, and not many people would be able to pick off round. And what you're looking for in your bowl is, I'll just cut this in half. You want a nice taper, so getting thicker to thinner at the top. You can aim for thin all the way, but that's really hard and not always practical. And we can show you how to clean that up when we come to turning next. So once you've mastered opening and lifting the clay into a nice cylinder, then you'll be ready for shaping your pot, which we'll cover in the next video. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to like and share, and any questions or stuff I haven't covered, please let me know.